Hi, and welcome back to our tutorial series for our Morpho plugin for Rhino. Today in session 4, assigning Morpho identities. I'm your host Benjamin, and I'm going to lead you through this tutorial series. So today we're talking about Morpho entities, and this basically means we're going to add buildings, soil and surfaces, and different kinds of plants to our model. So just as a quick recap, in the last two sessions, we first talked about the ENVI-met workspace. So we created our workspace and also about the Morpho grid and its dimensions. And also we added a location to our model. So the next step now is to identify the entities in our model. So here as entities, we have two buildings, we have the street as a surface and the ground or the soil as a surface. Then we have this lawn, this piece of grass, and these 2 points will resemble two trees. Of course, you can, in your model, visualize your trees different, but we need a point geometry to assign trees. So for that, in Grasshopper, we're gonna go to the Entity tab, and here you can add all the different entities. So we're gonna start with the building, and first we need to transform the Morpho geometry to a, let's say, ENVI-met geometry, so to a Inix face group. And for that, we go to geometry and get a Morpho face group, because this is a mesh or a three-dimensional geometry. So we need the face group, not the point, which we need for different things. And as a geometry, you can use the geometry you have, or just basic term geometry. Connect this, and then we're gonna assign our first building. This one, selected. Right click here, and then set one geometry. So now you can see it turned red. This means that it's now assigned as an entity. So now we will just copy it and do the same for the second building. Select the building and set it as the geometry. Now we have both buildings assigned. Now, what is also very important for ENVI-met, we need different IDs. So every building has a unique ID, and you have to really keep track that it's unique, so it's properly assigned. So we're just gonna give this the ID 1. So IDs are numeric value. We just give it a number, and let's assign this ID 2. Now we can also, this is not necessary, but you can give your buildings names. So as a redundancy, I'm just going to call it building 1, building 2. So now we have also names for our buildings. Right, and that's already it. So we assigned our buildings now. So material is we're gonna assign in the next video. That's the next part. But here we have also the possibility to enable BPS, that's building performance simulation. So that's a more detailed output for the building when the model is simulated. Its default value should be false. So usually it's not generated. If you want to add this output, you can add a Boolean toggle and set it to true. But for now, we're just gonna leave it as is. And now we're gonna move to the next entity. So let's continue with this surfaces. So we're gonna do the street. That's under the Morpho soil module. So soil is basically any type of ground or surface in ENVI-met. So here we also need disconnect also the face, the Morpho face group, and the geometry. Select street and assign. And here we're also gonna enter a unique ID. Just for clarity, also a name, so let's go street. And again, code is the material, which is the topic of the next video. So just quickly repeated this step for our soil here. That's basically the same as the street. And now we move on to our grass area. This is a 2D plant. So in ENVI-met we have 2D and 3D plants, and stuff like hedges or plants, agricultural plants are all considered 2D plants, and 3D plants are basically only trees. So we're gonna select the 2D, and here also we need our face group and geometry. And set geometry. And here it is also important to mention that if you have planes, so again such as the street or the soil, the set axis has to be inverted. So you basically have to flip it in order for ENVI-met to read surface correctly. So all these surfaces already have been flipped. If you want to do so, an easy command is dir for direction, and you can already see that it's flipped to the opposite, downwards. Right, here also we're gonna enter ID. And also please note that currently the plugin is asking for an ID for all entities, but it's only really important for buildings. So you keep the building IDs unique, and for the rest you could technically use the same ID, because that's not as important in ENVI-met, but as for now we're just gonna continue to increase the IDs. And name, grass. Now we have our first plants, and now we want to do the trees. So we're gonna do Morpho 3D plant. And now you already can see here it asks for index point. So you select Morpho point. And here we can directly connect a point, or I usually also just do geometry. And then can select both points and set multiple geometries. So now both points are assigned as a tree, and in ENVI-met, of course, they will be considered two trees, but now they will be the same kind of tree after we assign a code or a code from the database. And here you can also see no ID is necessary, as per usual, for the non-buildings. And the name is trees. And now we're already done, and we assigned every part of our model as Morpho entities. And now I'm just gonna group this, change the color, and yeah, now you can already bundle these. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it now. Really helpful is a relay, because it's going to be a lot of wires. So we're going to connect the Inix building output, and I'll put it in this relay. And later, when we add all those entities to our final model simulation, this is going to be a lot cleaner and easier to connect it up. Yeah, so now it looks like this, and we are done for now. So this is already it. So I'm just going to quickly summarize what we learned today. We learned how to add different kind of entities to our model. We learned why we need IDs and why they need to be unique. Also, I explained what a BPS output is and how to activate it. Also, the differences between simple plants and 3D plants. So remember, 3D plants are trees and are usually point geometries in the Morpho plugin, and simple plants are plane geometries, surface geometries in Rhino. And also I explained why we need to, or that we need to rotate our planes if you want to add any kind of surfaces, so they're going to be transformed correctly to ENVI-met. So in the next video, as I already teased, we're going to talk about the database and how to add materials. And until then, see you and goodbye.